Okay, here we go. So, one of my favorite subjects is aliens, and even more so, alien abduction. I'm a huge fan of sci-fi. I love the creepy nature of aliens, extraterrestrials, little green men, and maybe who knows what's out there. Now, when it comes to the lesson today, you're going to be seeing me construct these alien heads, but also we're going to talk a little bit about alien abduction and extraterrestrials and sleep paralysis, and if you have that creepy, uneasy feeling like these little things are going to walk in your bedroom one night and you're not going to be able to move, and they're going to take you, they're going to run experiments on you. Yeah, it's a pretty frightening thing. When I was growing up, I remember seeing Fire in the Sky, which is one of my favorite movies. If you guys haven't seen that, definitely go check that out. It's based allegedly on a true story, and it has to this day probably the most terrifying alien experimentation table scene I have ever seen. You guys know what I'm talking about if you've seen that movie. But it's getting abducted by aliens. I don't even know where to start, really, about how frightening that would be, because we want to believe that aliens are not hostile, but we don't know that. Now, I'm a firm believer in aliens. A lot of people don't believe in them, but in my humble opinion, I feel like the folks that don't believe in aliens are the same people that are just, they're not emotionally capable of handling what's actually out there, so they like to dumb it down to make it easier for them to understand. And that's just my opinion. Because let's face it, this is pretty scary stuff. Getting abducted by aliens is pretty scary. I'm going to be going over my drawing process too. So we'll be doing several heads. And the way I like to construct my drawings is that I give a nice light outline to everything. This is particularly for a concept sheet if you were being asked by a client to do heads only. I like doing that just because I can put a little bit more detail and time into expressions, teeth, just adding character and personality to whatever type of head I'm doing. Now, if it's demonic to the point where it can't even blink and there's eyes, maybe even this little critter right here, then, you know, we're borderline demonic horror Silent Hill type setting. Why not, right? That's what this lesson's all about anyway. But you know, like I feel that space is so incredibly large, and it is just still, it's been proven that it's expanding due to the Big Bang, that who knows what's out there. There are places that we will never reach, ever. And here we are in this beautiful blue ball that we call Earth. And, you know, keep an open mind, I guess. Keep an open mind about being abducted by aliens? No, you can close your mind on that because it's scary. Comment below if you've had this fear. Also, I do want to point out, I'm having so much fun drawing cryptids and things of that nature in my YouTube shorts that I feel long form versions such as this one are definitely in order. I think they need to happen. Man, I'm really hitting the cliche alien head, aren't I? I'm going to try not to make this look derpy, but I also moved the camera back just a little bit so you can see a bigger version of the head. So the eyes that I'm doing right now aren't as large as what's usually in eyewitness accounts, you know, like huge bulging black eyes. I'm going to try to give it a little bit of a smaller, more subtle approach. And then I may do some where the eyes are really large. Maybe some are eyeless. I mean, how terrifying would that be, right? An eyeless extraterrestrial coming to get you. My materials. Guys, we're going old school today. Check this out. White printer paper. That's it. 8.5 by 11. Super simple. You can get this at Office Max. And I have a 4B Tombow. You can see the details on that. I also like using this pencil up here. This is my favorite. It's a 4B from Faber-Castell. I'm just emotionally attached to Faber-Castell just because when I started university 20-something years ago, I started using that to draw cars and stuff and creatures and whatnot, and just kind of stuck with me. I don't really know what this head is going to look like, but I will be adding some details in here that'll hopefully make it pretty scary. Okay, so back to aliens. There are so many really good movies and documentaries about alien abduction and people waking up in their bedrooms and not being able to move while seeing these things in there. So many good ones. I know that Steven Spielberg is working on a UFO movie right now, and anything that man does is good. Anything. I loved War of the Worlds. I thought he knocked that one out of the park. It was excellent. But as far as the government and all the secrets that they're holding, I think it's only a matter of time before all of the whistleblowers will come out. They try so hard to downplay what we see, especially all of the crazy quote-unquote drone lights, over Jersey and other parts of the world. You have Area 51, you have certain parts overseas. This stuff is pretty legit. Alright. I'm just going to work on some facial features here. Whenever I draw aliens like this, the skin itself, I like to imagine that it's kind of smooth, but I'm just going to put in some subtle details around the eyes. So one of the things that I try to stress for all creature designers is that when you're sketching the face of a creature and it doesn't have a lot of details, or you're trying to convey emotion, just put a lot of the details around the eyes, because the eyes say a lot. They could say age, they can say anger, sadness, surprise, fatigue, all of that. Now this particular one, I don't think he's very happy, or it's very happy. But hey, let's just finish this off right here. Put in some more shading. Whenever I shade, I like to go in a minimum of 3 different directions, overlapping each other. And the more directions that you give, the more gaps that are filled in between the pencil strokes, and the smoother it is. All right, so one thing I mentioned in my short that I'm going to mention now: do not use your finger. Never ever, under any circumstance, use your finger to shade. Let me go over the reasons exactly why you shouldn't do that. 1, you're cheating. You're not even learning how to shade, because you're not teaching yourself how to go from dark to light by adding values. You're just spreading what you did and hoping for the best. 2, the oils in the fingers and your hands. It will ruin the drawing so fast that if you smear it and then you try to add more detail on top of it, like more shading, it's going to look like crap. So do yourselves a favor and practice grayscale sketching, from dark to light, and it'll definitely pay off. All right, we have our traditional little alien here. Maybe not. Well, yeah, it actually is pretty traditional. Also pretty scary too. Looks like Snoke. You guys know Star Wars, you know who Snoke is. And that was totally unintentional too. But the other opportunity that you have, if you're drawing along with me, please pay attention to this next bit. We have this giant head. Now, we are so used to alien heads just being super round and large, just because, hey, aliens are smart. They got bigger brains than us, so they need a skull that can house that brain. But there's a lot of subtle details that you can put on this brain to really show the skull and the bone structure underneath everything. So I think that's what I'm going to do here. But in order to do that, we're not ready yet, mainly because we haven't really picked up the shading in those areas on the head in order to put the details down onto. So we want to be very careful with that. Here, I'm just going to put slightly darker shadow on this creature's right side of his face, because the light source is going to be hitting right here. Okay, so I'll show you how to manipulate the shading around that head so that you can put in believable detail but have it be minimum at the same time, or minimal. Okay, so let's hit that at another angle. We're going to turn the sucker upside down. Okay, now I'm going to start the pencil strokes at the edge. See how these multiple lines here, we don't really know where the edge is? That's okay. Just start shading on top of it on the outermost one. Bring that shading in, but very lightly, because remember, I'm shading directly over where I want the highlight to be. Okay, now I could be using the paper's white background as the highlight, but this creature's skin doesn't, it's not metal or plastic, it's not going to have a specular highlight, it's not going to be glistening. Well, it might be a little damp, maybe amphibian-like, but I want to keep it a little bit dark. And that's as much as it's going to get. But we want to hit this in different directions to smooth it out. There we go. Right like that. I want to do something fun with the skull here. So I'm thinking if I make this really cool ridge going this way, and then another ridge going the opposite direction. Just very lightly placing that on there. I'm going to even out the shading here in a second. And then the actual head follows that. Might be a little dip. Trying really hard not to make it look like a tennis ball. Don't want to do that. Now the texturing on printer paper is a little different than smoother printer paper like Hammer Mill or something. I think I got this at, I don't know, CVS or something. It's super cheap, but hey, it gets the job done. You don't need a lot of tools, guys, and you don't need fancy equipment. I probably get asked 2-3 dozen times a week, what pencil do you use? What paper are you drawing on? It does not matter. Well, I take that back. It does matter if you're trying to get smooth shading and you're drawing on super rough paper. You don't want to do that. Because no matter how good of a shader you are, it's going to look really bad all the time. So you want to make sure that the paper that you're using is smooth enough to where you can shade and it evens out the more passes you do, and it's not toothy. If you want that rough look, then do the toothy look. That's fine. Ooh, he is looking evil, isn't he? Don't want this thing coming in your bedroom at night taking you. I'm going to draw the super skinny neck. Oh yeah. I was having a conversation the other day about X-Files. You know, X-Files, man. One of the greatest shows of all time. Hands down. It's hard to beat. And if you followed X-Files for all of the seasons, including the series finale, and then when they try to reboot it a little bit, when Mulder and Scully were older, they were wiser, just really, really awesome lore, storytelling, character development, and you know, the ongoing fight to hide extraterrestrial technology and all that from the public. It's just really, really awesome. I think that our government really is hiding stuff. And rightfully so. I mean, think about all the people that just can't handle it. But at the same time, you know, when those UFO reports starting to surface more and more with the Pentagon and everything, it's kind of hard to hide what's actually happening now. I mean, we know they're out there. It's just a matter of time before somebody just says, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna tell everybody. But people like to panic. They love to panic. I mean, look what COVID did with toilet paper. Can you imagine if you told everybody about aliens? No. All right, so we're going to put some more shading around that neck. Now, the neck itself isn't going to get a ton of detail because this alien is not ripped. It doesn't have to have all kinds of muscle striations. But what I do want to do is show a little bit of a cast shadow of that giant head directly on that neck. So I think I'm just going to put some shadow directly under the chin, well, the jaw. But I don't want to go hardcore right off the bat. This is subtle lighting. It's not as if the alien has a spotlight hanging on it. No. So we're just going to put some shadow directly under there, and then right underneath this chin where the part of the jaw would be protruding the most. Therefore, it would be casting the darkest shadow. So we're going to make it darker right underneath that chin. Now the shadow itself, this is a play up on values from what we see in the inside of the alien's mouth. Notice how the alien's mouth has shadow, and then the bottom of the neck right here has shadow. But the tones are different. Inside of that mouth, it's going to be the darkest, just because the least amount of light is penetrating down that throat. Now, it's not going into that mouth, but there's still some bounce light happening around here. This is how I play my values against one another. I always try to look at any two values next to each other. And if there's not a lot of contrast there and you can't tell what's happening, it could be deliberate just because of fog, atmospheric perspective and all, but most of the time it's not deliberate, so we need to differentiate the two. There we go. So now we can clearly see a separation of jaw and neck by shadow only. So the transition from the bone of the jaw into the skin of the neck is very subtle. It's not like this thing has awesome chiseled jaws, you know, like a model or anything. No. These little beings do not care about looking good. I notice that like these holes right here need to be more prominent, because I'm starting to think that there's like a weird way to have nostril holes in here that I didn't think of before. We're always so used to having just 2 holes. That's it. Maybe 3, maybe 4, but they're all symmetrical. What if this isn't symmetrical? What if it's just like totally random? That's just how the head grew, and that's how the evolution of these things started. It's kind of scary if you think about it. Imagine this thing waking up, or imagine you waking up and seeing this thing at the end of your bed. So I'm just going to put some subtle fog or mist like coming right off of the skin here. I'm holding the pencil at the butt of it, so like way down here. It can allow me to loosely move the pencil to my liking. I actually have more control like that. The more I come up to the front like this is more of a detailed approach. Now that's what I'll do when I go in there and I want to do like eyelid wrinkles or some kind of markings or scars or whatever around the eyes. But we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Patience, everybody. Tell me what you're working on in the comments below. Tell me a scary alien movie that you've seen. Alien Abduction. So we're talking humanoid extraterrestrials. Fourth Kind is one of my favorites. I got a funny story for all of you. So way back in 2009, I remember one evening, I tried to get my friends to go to the movies and nobody could go. Nobody. And I really just wanted to get out of the house and go to the movies. So I treated myself to it. Now at the time, there were commercials for 2 separate movies, Paranormal Activity and The Fourth Kind. Those were in the theaters at the exact same time. And I wasn't too familiar with The Fourth Kind. I don't think it was advertised very well, and when I got to the theater, I vaguely forgot the title Paranormal Activity, because it's kind of like in the same boat, right? Paranormal, Fourth Kind, aliens. I didn't know what was going on. I just remember seeing the previews for Paranormal Activity also, and I'm like, no, wait, actually I didn't. What had happened was I got to the theater thinking, oh, I'm going to see aliens, I'm going to see Mila Jovovich, like this is going to be awesome. I accidentally bought tickets for Paranormal Activity instead of The Fourth Kind. And I went in there and I'm like, what the heck am I watching? I'm glad I did, though. I love Paranormal Activity, too. But I went back and I watched The Fourth Kind, I believe the next night. It was pretty funny. Okay, let me turn this up right so you guys can see it. There you go. All right, are we inducing fear yet of being abducted by aliens? I hope so. That's what this is all about. Okay, we got Fire in the Sky, we got Fourth Kind. Can't forget Nope. Of course, the abduction scene on Nope that's just like horrific. I'm not going to tell you what happens. Those of you who've seen Nope, you know exactly what happens to a lot of people at once. It's a scene that sticks with you. Okay, so now I can probably start putting in some better shadows here. I don't think the jaw is even. I'm going to slightly apply some darker pressure around this neck, and then I'll go in. There we go. Okay, let's go into some details around the eye here. Now, this alien eye, it doesn't really blink like humans. So I'm thinking that the wrinkles surrounding those eyes can still add in some character. You know, maybe some age. Maybe this extraterrestrial has been abducting people for millennia. You know, like millions of years, all the way back for our evolution, just taking people, seeing how we evolved, all of that. And maybe it's just showing some age, some wear and tear. It's like, man, I've been doing this a long time. It's kind of like the jaded detective. You know, like, well, I'm just in somebody else's bedroom now. I'm going to take them. Maybe he's going to retire soon. Who knows? Okay, I think there needs to be some other thickness around that jaw. I mean, the alien itself is not very strong. It's strong, but it's not Schwarzenegger strong. There we go. Okay. See all these details happening right over here, right in the caruncula. That's that little corner where the tear ducts are in an alien. But I need to put that shape over there, so you need to be careful. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Let's jump to another head. Let's do one. Let's do one right here. So let's do a larger head like this, but we are keeping the traditional eyes of our very, very own little green man. So we're going to make really big eyes like this. Now, I don't know how this is going to turn out. I may have failed at this like terribly, but we'll see. Okay, well, the head itself kind of looks like there's a big brain that's happening in there, so maybe this one is the leader of everybody. See, we're going really, really traditional here. We're going to put a little indication of a nose, a little mouth slit. All right, let's see what we can do with this. All right, so we're going to put the shape of the face first. So we're just going to do a little jaw. There we go. And now, let's see if we can give some character to this. Put the little neck like that. Okay. Okay, the next thing that I would do, cover the whole thing in shading. That's it. I got the outline in there, so we're going to do that. I'm going to do it in a little angle here. So when you do the shading, I've gone over this before in some lessons, but you're going to start slow and light, and you're not going to stop until the entire area is finished. You don't want to lift your pencil and do it again. Now, is this enough? Absolutely not. No. We're going to do several more passes, but we're going to go at different directions. So pass number 2, keeping the strokes close together, we can start to fill in the gaps that we previously had. Maybe your arm is getting warmed up. Notice how all the pencil strokes are pretty much all of them are going outside of the outline of the head, that's okay. Okay, pass number 3, I'm going to turn it upside down so that I can go completely horizontal across the skull. So this is pass number 3. This is when things should start to look a lot better for you guys. Notice how I'm not pressing harder. I'm using the same pressure all the way down through the neck. Am I satisfied? Absolutely not. So I'm going to turn it slightly. And I think this angle's new. So we're going to do it again. This is pass number 4. Now it's starting to look a lot smoother. We're going to go all the way down the neck. And then we're going to lay the head like this. And we're going to go up and down, because we have not done that yet. Just completely vertical. Pass number 5. Slowly, concentrate. We can even go backwards. There we go. Okay. Now it looks pretty good to start with. I mean, I'm not going to be satisfied with this thing until I put hours upon hours of details in it, but that's not going to happen. The second thing that I want to do is I want to establish what is going on with those eyeballs. Okay, so I may indicate some eyelids, just subtly. Okay, my pencil's still sharp. Anytime I take a break and I switch camera angles, I always go back and I change my, or I sharpen my pencil. Now, I'm going to do a very light pass across the eyeball, and I'm going to leave like an oval or a square or something, or a pair of them in the middle, and then I'm going to shade around those. I'll show you why in a second. Okay, obviously this eyeball is not dark enough, but we're going to build that up. So we're going to go back in here. This is why I like 4Bs, because you can get dark when you want, and you can also get light. Now, you don't have to make the entire eyeball jet black. Remember, there are reflections happening on this alien's eyeball from the environment that it lives in. Who knows where it's at? It could be inside of a spaceship, and you can see weird reflections in the eyeball. Having those tiny little speck highlights, that can add so much realism to the eye. We're going to do the same thing over here. So that eye might actually be a little bigger than what I am anticipating, so we're just going to crease this one. Okay, and now I'm just going to indicate where I want the reflection to be. I don't want it to be the exact same type of reflection as that eyeball. Start light, work my way around the reflection. Have fun, experiment. It doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. Okay, that's a start. Now, I'm going to go back in, and I'm going to darken the center of it. There we go. I'm also thinking about the light source and what's happening with those eyeballs as the alien lives and breathes in its environment, because maybe some bounce light from the ground is bouncing up on those eyes. There we go, that's looking kind of cool. So one of the things that I want to point out to all of you is whenever you're drawing a creature or a face or whatever it may be, and to you it may seem empty and void of all of the details and all of the cool features that you thought was going to be on it, this is the time to take a step back and realize you got to layer all of that stuff on it. It doesn't just happen right away. So you saw me build up the values and areas that I wanted the skin to come out on this one. And then of course the little weird nostril holes and the wrinkles and such. That couldn't have happened had I not laid down the original foundation. Okay, foundation shading. So with this one, I'm doing the same thing. Now this was several passes. And now that I took a step back, I adjusted my camera and I was looking at my drawing, I'm realizing that probably the whole bottom of this face here needs to be a little bit more in shadow, because if this is a slightly rounded face, especially if it's protruding here in the eyebrows or the eyebrow ridge, it's probably kind of rolling under near this chin, so I want to give it a correct shadow in that one. And really, this is a very common alien head shape, so I wanted to hit the traditional shapes, and then we'll get into something a little crazier over here. If you guys like this content, I have a Patreon. You can check out the link in the description below for that. I go more in depth about my creature designs, and I also approach it for educational purposes. So if you want assignments to get yourself started, maybe you don't know where to start as far as learning creature design, I give you anatomy assignments and things that I would do if I wanted to learn creature design today. So make sure you check that link out in the description for that. We also have a Discord. It's a creature design workshop Discord, and I've been running that for several years now, where you can join in, post your sketches for sketchbooks, your doodles for our monthly creature design challenges, and just to be around like-minded individuals. Let's face it, everybody. How hard is it to find people that think like you when drawing? It's pretty hard, right? You almost have to do it online now. Well, that's why I made that Discord, specifically for everybody to converse, and we have some really good camaraderie over there, some good chemistry, good critiques. Definitely can't miss. Okay, so with this head, even though this can be traditional, I'm thinking that maybe the temples up here are really going to stick out. I don't like that head anymore. I didn't screw it up. I don't want to say that. Kind of looks like Mars Attacks almost. Let's go back and talk about the layering process. So you can see that every single tiny little mark that I'm putting in on this face, it has a purpose. I'm thinking about the skull structure underneath, where the cheeks are, where the mouth slit is, the nostril holes, where the nasal cavity is, and ultimately what that eye socket would look like. So I'm slowly outlining where the forehead begins, right, like this. And then this one we can have a little bit of fun. We can make some pieces pop off, maybe some anatomical features pop off of the skull. That'd be kind of cool. Maybe like two little horns. Don't want to get too crazy with it though, because that's not what this is about. All right, so now let's do this. Let's run some shading across that head, just right there. Now, why am I getting the side of it like this? It's because the lighting is hitting this one differently than the head over there. All right, this one maybe it's directly in the top, and so everything on the edge right here is getting kind of a core shadow feel, as if you're rendering, a sphere from good old foundation courses. The mouth is much smaller, and then the lip is going to be smaller too, but I'm still going to put that cast shadow in for that lip. It's all about subtleties, everybody. I do want it to be a little odd, so maybe the mouth corners, you can't really tell what it's doing. Is it like chapped skin? It's just odd. But I want the details to be ambiguous. And some of these facial wrinkles, I want to run up past the eyeball, and they're not going to be symmetrical. It's like we're playing the guessing game here. Now remember how this started out as just, it looked like a harmless little alien and there wasn't anything to it. Now we're going to start to see subtle details, and this is what I was talking about with layering the details on and being patient with this process. There we go, and all I'm doing is just tiny little circles. Okay. Now the head, or the face I should say, the alien's maxilla right there, it's not very attractive. There's weird lines coming up here, maybe indents in the skin, and it's actually going to give the alien more character. Maybe it's a battle wound, who knows. Maybe this thing has fought many, many battles, but still finds time to go and abduct humans on Earth. Maybe it's abducting humans to aid in their battles. Maybe it's just brainwashing them. You know, I have a belief that these aliens have been visiting Earth for millions of years, and they've been here for a long time just studying everything. Adding these little lines in here is probably the most enjoyable part for me, just because they're asymmetrical for one, and I get to add a lot of character into this. Now, it's just a typical alien head, and we've seen these thousands of times in movies and posters, video games, everything. But to put your own little twist on it, put your own little character into the character, it's really fun. Okay, so once we're doing that, I'm starting to think about this middle area. This is a big one. It's an ambiguous area because this creature is not built like a human. So whether or not it can emote, that's up for debate. But I can add in some like brow ridge wrinkles here to indicate, hey, maybe some skin can be bent and maybe it can furrow its brow to show reasoning, or not reasoning, but like confusion, anger, just emotions. There we go. And also, it's just creepy. It's just creepy to have it be a little off from what we're used to seeing. Okay, there we go. Comment below and let me know what you're working on, if you're finding it fun to draw aliens. And also, hey, give some suggestions below if you want to see me keep doing cryptid, creepy drawings like this. You know, my favorite creature is the werewolf. And I have drawn a werewolf head for the channel before, but maybe I should do more of them. Maybe you guys can even suggest movie monsters that you would like to see me do. That'd be a fun one too. Several years ago, I think I did Predator, and I haven't really done much else. So if you guys got something, let me know. Like my own take on stuff. I need to jump back into my Pokemon, my evil Pokemon interpretations. That was fun. Okay, so this set of eyes, obviously different. It's a little asymmetrical. And that's the point. There we go. Now we're getting into some expressions and character. This alien, if it's abducting somebody, is not happy. I mean, if you were going to be abducted by aliens, you at least want a calm one, you know, one that's relatively in a good mood. But who's to say that they're not in moods at all? I don't know. All right, there we go. Let me know what you're drawing with too, the tools that you're using. Everybody's different. I'm using a Tombow 4B. I also like sketching with Faber-Castell, black Prismacolor. Just let me know what you guys like to draw on. If you have a specific brand that you've stuck with over the years, be a number 2 pencil. Like, it doesn't matter. I think that's what's so cool. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what tool you're using, just as long as you apply the same drawing principles and the fundamentals, it's okay. All right, so I'm having a blast here. I think I'm just going to add in some atmospheric perspective flowing into the distance like this. We still got our third one, folks. Like, we're still going to do the third one, but man, oh man, am I having fun with this second head here. I thought I was going to love this one more. I actually like this one just because of how weird it is and how crooked this facial feature is. There we go. Even the cheek right here, a little shadow for it. He's got a very sinister look. I'm actually going to put in some shading. It looks like mist. It's just going to flow right out into the air like this. So maybe the alien is walking through some mist, or maybe there's some fog that it creates as it slips through our, you know, plane of existence. There we go. Who knows what they can do, right? And I think the cast shadow for the the head on the neck, it needs to be more prominent because there's not enough contrast between the chin and the neck anyway. You could blend those together, most likely, and have it be okay. But I think for the sake of showing off the face only, I think that's what I'm going to do. See, even I'm even giving. I cannot talk today. I'm so sorry for repeating myself. Sorry, guys. It's been a long day. But even the simple neck right here is going to get some details. It's not going to have a football neck, but like that little part, didn't really mean to do. Okay, got that. All right, now we're having so much fun, aren't we? Okay, so we got some ambiguous areas here on the head. A lot of fun. All right, now the head itself, we could do some cool things up here. Very lightly, everybody, put in these shapes. Just put in these shapes. No, I'm not telling you to do what I'm doing. I'm just suggesting to start the shapes. Do you have a shape in mind that you want to put in there? Go right ahead. Go crazy with these. See the lopsided head? That's on purpose. Asymmetry. Asymmetry goes a long way. And I'm warming up to this. This is why thumbnailing is so fun. Because, you know, I was feeling pretty good while doing this drawing. But now that I'm going into this one, I'm, you know, taking the energy and taking the flow state from the first one, and I'm going into this one, and I'm really loving it. You're not going to like everything you draw, everybody. That's a fact. You're not going to like everything you draw. Ask yourself how many sketchbooks you've bought, or how many pages in your sketchbook have one single thing drawn on it and then you've abandoned the whole page. I'll raise my hand. I've wasted so many sketchbooks like that. It's inevitable, so don't even feel bad about it. It's just the normal sketching process. We learn as we go, right? Okay, so I think these scars and these strange age marks, I mean, this little guy could very well be over 50,000 years old. Okay, it's been traveling the universe. It's been bringing back species to study, and nothing is straight on its face anymore. We got bumps, we got creases. You know, it's like old grandpa. Or not. Maybe it's the young version and it's only 1 million years old. Maybe they live to be 50 million years old. Wouldn't that be kind of crazy? But what we do have here are several little happy accidents. You know, with the forehead wrinkles going up into the head like this. I gotta fade that wrinkle off just to show that like the skin stretches and then it fades away, so it'll be okay. Because if I wanted to show age, there are specific places to put those wrinkles in. It's not everywhere. Unless he was about to die, you know, like after Bilbo Baggins gave up his ring to Gandalf. He didn't have it anymore. And then he got old real fast. I mean, Bilbo was what, 111 years old? And he looked like he was 50? Yeah. We all wish we had that, right? Okay, there we go. Oh yeah, the middle looks kind of neat now. It's something that I didn't plan on. I actually, see, this is what I've talked about in previous videos. I actually want to go back and I want to do stuff to that one now. Dang it. Ah, I knew it. I knew that was going to happen. But I'm going to stop myself after these little nostril holes because I actually like how smooth this looks up here. So I'm just going to keep that, maybe put in some subtle shading around that giant eye, just to show that the eyeball itself underneath all of the skin and everything is actually pretty large. And I'm doing little circles here to where the shading is still smooth and then it's catching the light on the actual brow. There we go. Okay, now I feel happier, just that little bit. Anyway, okay, what started off as a kind of derpy alien now looks like he's really angry. Or just like, man, I'm in another bedroom about to take a human. Come on. Like, you better go with me. I better not have any troubles. And notice how I'm not spending a ton of time with the large head here. The large head here. That's on purpose. I don't need to. Maybe put in some small details of little bumps. That'd be kind of cool. Just to fill the space up. And then we can do that. There we go. Oh, sounds like my heaters are coming back on. So you might hear a little weird little water sound, kind of like a fish tank. That's good. Okay, so we got that one. Yeah, this is so much fun. Guess what we're on now? We are on the third one. So everybody take a little break. Okay, sharpen your pencils. Maybe get a new sheet of paper. And then we're going to start on the third one. We're going to go way different than these rounded domes. We're going to do something a little more fun. Okay, here we are again, folks, but the third one is going to be a little stranger. So you can see this odd shape that we have here. This is actually going to be the shape of the head. Now, it looks like a guitar pick, honestly, but we're going to do something a little weirder. We're going to make the eyes slanted like this and elongated, but to the point where it's going to be a double set. Now, I don't know how this is going to work out, but let's see where this goes. We want to make these creepy, right? We want to make them eerie, and we don't want them to be goofier, because that's not the theme that we're going for. So the face itself needs to be a little ambiguous, a little strange. And I'm thinking if we keep the mouth slit very small and then have the cheeks protruding this way. Little chin, and then the head coming up, kind of looks like E.T., right? Of course, I'm not trying to copy off of E.T. Instead, I'm just borrowing with that weird shape that he has for his head, because his eyeballs are actually rounded. So this one's just going to be elongated. We're going to be using black Prismacolor for these two. Let me show you something real quick on why the black Prismacolor is so fun. I am going to try to find the pencil that I've been using. Oh, geez. Here it is. Check this out. Black Prismacolor. We're going to go in here. That gets very, very dark very quickly. And you want to use black Prismacolor to your advantage. I like to use black Prismacolor with graphite, because if we mix it with it, then it helps keep the graphite down, helps keep it from smearing. Okay, so the black Prismacolor in the eyeballs, that's going to come in handy. But here we have this strange little alien. Okay, guess what we're going to do now? We're going to do pass number one. So I'm going to keep the strokes close together. Just going to go right across the neck. We're going to go all the way to the creature's right eyeball. All the way past it. There we go. Okay, pass number one. We're going to change it. Go this way. Pass number two. There we go. All right, let me know if you're having fun, everybody. I know some of you have probably landed on my YouTube channel and you're wondering, how did you even get here? We're drawing extraterrestrials and talking about alien abduction and the fear of it. Like, why not? Just get our sketchbooks out and just start doodling. Okay, another pass here, or else I'm not going to be happy. So we're going to go here. We're going to go down the neck. So the neck can not really be forgotten, but it's kind of like an afterthought. We don't really need to worry about the neck so much. It's essentially the same treatment that I gave these necks. So eventually this head right here is going to have a cast shadow right underneath there. But I'm thinking, I think in the mouth may need to be a little wider. Okay, and then a little bit more structure around the face. So maybe this face protrudes a little bit more. All right, but let's do something strange with that eye. Okay, so if we have the eye like this, okay, and it's going to be very, very sinister looking. Let's have one little thin strip of reflection in the middle, just for fun. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. I have to make sure that the eye itself, oh, wait. I don't want an eyebrow, that's going up. So if you want it to be less, or emote less, don't put the eyebrow on it, because that immediately conveys confusion, anger, sternness. No, this one is just, it's almost like the creature is void of emotion. It's just observing and that's it. Remember Fire in the Sky when he's abducted and he's has experiments performed on him. Those aliens, they did have wrinkles in their faces, but it didn't look like they cared much. And this is what I'm trying to show here. Like, this alien does not care. It doesn't care that you're scared. It doesn't care that you woke up and you're suffering from sleep paralysis. It just wants to take you and it wants to do things to you. And it's going to do it whether you like it or not. I think that's where it gets a little frightening. Put on a little nose, little nostril holes there. Maybe it doesn't have nostrils, who knows? And we don't need to get super detailed everywhere. That's not the point. The point is we're going to sell this by having us focus on the eye section. So see these strokes going back here, I'm just going to make it smooth again. I'm going to go right over the eye, right over the reflection. I'm not worrying about destroying the reflection in the eye because the pencils, the strokes that I'm adding right now, it's not darker than that. So it's still going to show up. I'm just running my pencil across that area and then that's it. I'm just running my pencil across that area and that's it. But what I am doing is I'm giving the eye socket a little bit more shape. There we go. So much fun. Okay, so now that you've seen me start the sketch, we're going to do a little time lapse. And I just want all of you to relax and watch me do it. Pull up your own sketchbooks and let's see what you can create. Let's go.